It seems like every other week, doesn't it? Another data breach hits the news. You almost get desensitized
Yeah, it's constant.
until one happens that feels a bit closer, maybe. And this latest one involving Coinbase, well, it's definitely got people talking. A major crypto exchange.
It really does.
Yeah.
And while, we see these things happen, the details around this Coinbase breach, they offer some pretty important insights, I think,
Mm.
about the kinds of threats we're all facing now.
Absolutely. So today, that's where we are doing a deep dive into this Coinbase incident. We've looked at reports from Mashable, TechCrunch, trying to really get a handle on, what went down.
With information got out.
Exactly. And what it all means, really, for Coinbase users, sure, but also for, cybersecurity in general. Okay, so where do we start unpacking this one?
The timeline probably makes the most sense. Coinbase actually found out about it on May 11th.
Wow.
Apparently, they got a ransom email. That's how it came to light internally.
Wow, okay.
Then they went public, confirmed it. That was Thursday, May 15th. And importantly, they also had to disclose it in an SEC filing.
Right, the mandatory filing. That adds a layer of sort of official confirmation.
Exactly, provides crucial details.
And this wasn't just some minor thing. The attackers, they demanded, what was it, $20 million?
Yeah, a $20 million ransom. The threat was they'd leak all the stolen data if Coinbase didn't pay up.
But Coinbase's reaction was pretty strong, wasn't it?
Oh, definitely. Very firm. They said, absolutely not. No ransom payment.
And they didn't stop there.
No, quite the opposite.
Yeah.
They've kind of flipped the script, establishing their own $20 million fund.
A reward fund.
Exactly. For information that leads to catching the attacker's arrest and conviction. Plus, they're working closely with law enforcement.
Okay, so the big question then, how? How did the attackers actually get in? Was it like some super sophisticated external hack?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting and, frankly, a bit worrying. It seems the method wasn't a technical exploit from the outside. No. The reports suggest the cybercriminals actually recruited people who already had access.
Insiders.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Overseas contractors and support agents.
Yeah.
People with legitimate authorization to be in the system.
And they just misused that access.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Access data they had no legitimate business need to see, basically abusing their privileges.
That really shines a light on the human element, doesn't it? The insider threat.
Absolutely. It's a huge concern. Because unlike, blocking a technical attack vector, vetting and monitoring people with legitimate access, especially maybe third-party contractors, is a whole different challenge.
Yeah, a much harder problem to solve sometimes.
It's a stark reminder that security isn't just about firewalls and tech. It's also critically about people and processes.
Okay, so Coinbase caught on to this unauthorized access, and they fired the contractors involved.
Right. They detected it and terminated those individuals immediately. Swift action there.
But the damage was done. The data was already out. So how many people are we talking about? Who's actually affected by this?
Well, the, let's say, less bad news is that Coinbase says it affected less than 1% of their monthly active users.
Okay, less than 1%. But what does that mean in actual numbers? Coinbase is huge.
It is. TechCrunch had figures suggesting around 9.7 million monthly customers back in March 2025. So, doing the math.
Even less than 1% is still.
Potentially around 100,000 users, give or take.
Right. 100,000 people, that's not trivial at all. Let's get into the really crucial part for those people. What data actually got compromised?
Yeah, this is key. The list includes the basics, names, home addresses, phone numbers, email addresses.
Okay, standard PII, but it went further.
It did. Masked bank account numbers were exposed, along with some other specific bank account identifiers. And this is quite worrying. Photos of government IDs.
Like driver's licenses, passports.
Exactly. That kind of photo ID.
Oof, that could definitely be misused. Anything else?
Not the full SSN, but still useful for scammers, right? Social engineering.
Yeah.
Precisely. It gives them ammunition. They also got account data. Things like snapshots of balances and transaction history.
Okay.
And finally, some limited internal company data was also accessed. Training docs, support agent messages, that sort of thing.
That's a pretty comprehensive list of what was taken. What about the flip side? What important stuff wasn't compromised? That's crucial for reassurance.
Absolutely vital. Coinbase was clear that user login credentials, so passwords, were not accessed.
Good.
And importantly, personal keys and crypto wallets are safe. Exchange funds are secure. Coinbase Prime accounts weren't affected either.
So it seems like the breach was more focused on maybe customer support level information rather than the core financial systems holding the crypto assets?
That seems to be the case, yeah. Focused on data accessible via those support channels, likely through those compromised contractors.
Okay, so Coinbase discovered this, confirmed it. What have they done since? What are the immediate actions and like future plans to fix this?
Right. Immediate priority was obviously notifying the affected customers. That's step one.
Standard procedure.
Yep. Looking forward, they're talking about some pretty big changes, overhauling their customer support systems entirely.
A big undertaking.
And relocating customer support operations too. And significantly, they've pledged to reimburse customers.
Reimburse? For what?
For funds lost due to social engineering attacks that happened because of this specific breach. If someone was scammed as a direct result, Coinbase says they'll make them whole, essentially.
That's a pretty bold commitment. That must offer some comfort to those affected.
I think so. It's a strong signal. They're also opening a new support hub based in the U.S.
Interesting. Maybe for better oversight.
Could be part of it. Better security, maybe faster response. And they're also saying they'll invest more in insider threat detection tech, better security simulations, automated responses, things to specifically counter this type of attack.
Recognizing the nature of this breach.
Exactly. Strengthening defenses against that specific vulnerability.
Now, all of this, the remediation, the reimbursements, the new systems, it sounds expensive. Any idea of the financial hit Coinbase is expecting?
Yeah, TechCrunch reported on their estimates. They're looking at costs somewhere between roughly $180 million and $400 million.
Wow, $180 to $400 million. That is substantial. Really shows the massive cost these breaches can have.
It really does. It underlines the seriousness for any large organization.
So let's bring it back to the users, maybe our listeners who use Coinbase. What's the main advice? What should they be doing now?
Coinbase is being very direct. They're saying,
Yeah.
be super suspicious of anyone contacting you claiming to be from Coinbase.
Especially if they ask for info or pressure you.
Exactly. If they ask for account details, passwords, private keys over the phone, or push you to move assets urgently, hang up. Coinbase says they never do that.
Okay, good reminder. Any specific security settings?
Yes, the standard best practices, which are always important, enable two-factor authentication, 2FA, adds a crucial layer.
Always good advice.
And they also recommend using withdrawal allow listing, if possible. That limits where your crypto can be sent, making it harder for thieves.
Right. We also heard from the CEO, Brian Armstrong. What was his message?
He acknowledged the worry and the hassle this causes users, showing empathy.
Important step.
And he doubled down on Coinbase, taking ownership, investing heavily in, as he put it, world-class defenses. He also specifically reiterated that reimbursement pledge for retail customers scammed directly because of this prior to May 15th, subject to review.
Okay. And one last point, kind of interesting context from TechCrunch about their stock.
Yeah. It's interesting timing detail. Just around this time, Coinbase stock actually jumped 24%.
After a data breach. That seems counterintuitive.
Well, the context is key. It happened after Coinbase was added to the S&P 500 index.
Ah, okay. So the stock jump was likely due to the index inclusion, not the breach news.
Almost certainly. That kind of index inclusion is a big positive signal to the market. A major data breach usually has the opposite effect, at least initially, due to trust concerns.
Right, makes sense. Okay, let's try to pull this all together then. What are the big takeaways from this whole Coinbase incident?
Okay, summary time. We've got a major breach at a top crypto exchange. Crucially, it looks like it happened because of insider threats, authorized contractors misusing access.
Not an external hack.
Right. This exposed sensitive personal and some account data for potentially 100,000 users. Coinbase's response: no ransom, set up their own reward, working with law enforcement, promising big security upgrades, and customer reimbursements.
It definitely underscores again, doesn't it, just how vigilant everyone needs to be.
Yep.
Companies and individuals.
Absolutely. These threats are constantly evolving. The sophistication and now this clear focus on insider threats, it just shows how complex protecting digital assets and information really is now.
Yeah, it feels like a constant battle. So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. If cyber attacks keep getting smarter and insiders are becoming such a clear vulnerability, what else can we do? What new strategies, maybe even, I don't know, unconventional ones, do companies and frankly, all of us need to think about to really protect ourselves going forward? It feels like we're always reacting,
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or maybe the $400 million question in this case.
Yeah.
How do we get ahead of the curve?